I was still wearing his hoodie the first time I crossed the line. It was a gray Tuesday. The kind of day where everything feels fake, like nothing is really happening. The kind of day when your life starts breaking quietly, without storms or noise. Just a slow crack underneath everything. Ben had kissed my forehead before he left. He said he'd handle dinner, pick up the kids, even do bath time. You need rest, he told me. I've got it. He smiled at me like I was the most important person in his world. An hour later, I was in another man's apartment. Windows closed. Doors locked. Curtains fully shut. I knew I shouldn't be there. But I was. His name was Jake. He was wrong for me in every possible way. Not my type, not my world, not my future. And maybe that's exactly why I did it. With Ben, everything was safe and planned. Structure, routine, grocery lists, shared calendars, weekend schedules, school reminders. Our life was stable, responsible, predictable. With Jake, it was the opposite. Chaos. Heat. Something unspoken pulling us toward each other. No plan. No filter. No pause. The first time we didn't talk much. We didn't need to. It was all eye contact and breathing and that strange electric space between two people who know they're doing something wrong and move closer anyway. And I let it happen. All of it. People think the first thing you feel is guilt. I didn't. Not that day. That day, I felt awake. I remember walking home afterward and looking up at the sky like it had suddenly turned to color. Everything looked sharper, louder, brighter. Even the guilt felt different when it finally showed up. It didn't slam into me. It didn't knock me over. It waited. It was quiet. It stood in the corner and watched. Ben was already home when I got back. The kids were laughing in the living room. Something about a cartoon on TV. Dinner smelled warm and comforting from the kitchen. Ben moved around like he always did, easy, calm kind. He hugged me like nothing had changed. And I smiled back. I kissed him on the cheek and said, "Thank you for today." He had no idea. Or at least, that's what I told myself. The second time, I told Ben I had a late meeting at work. There was no meeting. There was just Jake. And a couch that squeaked every time we moved. And my phone buzzing over and over from a message I didn't want to look at. It was from Ben. "Don't forget to eat something." I stared at that message while Jake's hands were on me. I didn't pull away. I just replied with a heart emoji. I didn't feel shame. Not then. If anything, the lying became part of the excitement. A twisted little game. I started building my days around it. Tuesdays. Thursdays. Sometimes lunch breaks. Sometimes I'll be home a bit late evenings. I adjusted my schedule like I was managing another job. A hidden one. I started wearing perfume again. I dressed differently. I told myself I was taking care of myself, that I was finally paying attention to me. But deep down, I knew who I was really getting ready for. Not my husband. Not the father of my children. For the man who wasn't mine. I told myself 1,000 stories to make it okay. I'm tired. I'm not seen. I'm more than just a mom, a wife, a schedule. I deserve to feel alive. Maybe some of that was true. But none of it excused what I was doing. Because while I was out pretending to be someone else, someone lighter, freer, childless, obligation-free, Ben was at home making school lunches, ironing shirts, sending me silly memes, still believing in me. Still trusting me. And that's the part one can't forgive myself for. You want to know what haunts me the most? It isn't the sneaking around. It isn't the made-up excuses. It isn't even the fear of getting caught. It's how easy lying became. By the third or fourth time, it didn't even hurt. I could look straight into Ben's eyes and say, "Everything's fine." And for a second, I could almost believe it myself. The truth is, I didn't feel like I was cheating. I felt like I was surviving. Ben didn't ask questions. He didn't check my phone. He didn't follow me. He didn't accuse me of anything. He just kept being good. Too good. And that made it worse. I started to think, maybe I can do this forever. 2 lives. 2 stories. No consequences. But I was wrong. So wrong. It didn't stop after the first few times. It spread, like a weed creeping through a yard. Slow. Steady. Silent. At first, I told myself I was still in control. You're being careful. You're being smart. No one is getting hurt. But I wasn't just lying to Ben anymore. I was lying to myself. Jake started texting me at night. While Ben brushed his teeth in the bathroom, I'd be under the blanket, the light from my phone lighting up my face, reading messages I had no business reading. Sometimes Jake sent just one word. Craving. Sometimes a photo. Nothing explicit. Just a hand, a wrist, a neck, a look. But it was enough. It was never love. Not once. It was hunger. And I fed it every single time. I told Ben I was working on a side project. Something for myself. I said I needed quiet and space and time alone. Of course he respected it. He always respected me. He started leaving the house earlier on Saturdays, taking the kids out so I could focus. Sometimes he'd be gone for hours, the whole day even. And the moment the front door closed behind them, I'd grab my keys and leave. Jake and I stopped meeting in cars and dark corners. We started getting hotel rooms. Cheap ones at first, then nicer ones. Rooms with bright white sheets and big mirrors that made everything feel unreal. Like I wasn't living my own life but watching some movie I shouldn't be watching. He liked being in charge. And I liked giving that control away. There were times I walked out of those rooms with bruises on my hips, lipstick smudged in places it shouldn't be, hair messy and skin flushed. And from there, I'd drive straight to the grocery store. I'd pick up milk, smile at the cashier, put things in the cart for my kids' lunches, then go home like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just betrayed the man who trusted me the most. Ben was still kind. He folded my laundry without me asking. He'd notice small things. When I was tired, when my phone battery was low and he quietly slipped a charger into my bag. He wasn't suspicious. Or maybe he was and hid it very well. Sometimes I think that made it even worse. Because every kind thing he did made me feel like I was getting away with it. Like I was untouchable. Like I was invisible. Jake started asking questions. What would you do if he found out? Would you leave him? Do you ever think about us, for real? I never gave him a straight answer. Because I didn't want real with him. I didn't want morning routines, bills, school drop-offs, fights over laundry, family dinners with Jake. I just wanted the escape. The rush. The feeling of being wanted. Sharply. Urgently. Like I was the air he needed. Jake didn't love me. But he liked what I gave him. Attention. Danger. Fantasy. I was his secret, and that made him feel important. He never said that, but I knew. And I used it. There's one night I'll never forget. Ben made dinner. Real dinner. Not leftovers, not something thrown together. He lit candles. He put on real music, not just a playlist for the kids. He poured wine. The kids were staying at their grandparents' house for the night. No special occasion. Just us. He handed me a small card. Inside, in his handwriting it said, "Still choosing you every day." I smiled. I kissed him. I said thank you. But inside I felt empty. Because earlier that same afternoon, I had been in Jake's bed. Still wearing the earrings Ben bought me for our anniversary. The lies started to tangle. I forgot which excuse I'd used last week. What I told Jake versus what I told Ben. Which dress I wore where. Which restaurant I claimed to be at. Which coworker I said I was with. One day I accidentally typed the wrong name into a message. I was texting Ben but typed Jake in the sentence instead of his name. "Sorry, that was weird, Jake," I wrote, then corrected it. Ben laughed it off. "Autocorrect," he said. He thought nothing of it. I laughed too, but my chest was tight. Panic spread through me. For the first time, I felt myself slipping. Losing control. The neat double life I thought I was managing started to fray at the edges. And still, I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Because somewhere along the way, the affair became part of who I was. Without it, I felt like nothing. Invisible. Unimportant. Just a background character in my own life. But with Jake, I felt sharp. Wanted. Dangerous. It was poison. And I drank it on purpose. One morning, I came home earlier than usual. Ben was in the kitchen making pancakes. The kids were at the table, syrup on their plates, faces sticky laughing. Ben turned, smiled, and kissed me like always. But his eyes looked different. Too calm. Too steady. Too focused. For the first time, a new thought entered my mind and wouldn't leave. What if he knows? Everything started to unravel after that. It used to feel simple. Stolen time. Quiet rooms. Fast goodbyes. Careful exits. But then Jake got bolder. And I got more careless. There was one Thursday I still think about. Jake and I were at a cheap motel just outside of town. We'd gone there so many times it almost felt normal. Familiar. That day we lost track of time. My phone was face down and on silent. When I finally picked it up, my heart dropped. 9 missed calls from Ben. 3 from the house phone. 6 from his cell. And 1 message. "Where are you?" Max fell. He might need stitches. We're at urgent care. I felt like my whole body went cold. I grabbed my things without even fixing my hair or clothes. My shirt was wrinkled. My eyeliner was smudged. I didn't care. I barely heard what Jake said as I rushed out the door. I just kept thinking, please. Please let me get away with this. Just one more time. Please. I got to the clinic in under 20 minutes. Ben was sitting in the waiting room, holding Max in his arms. Max had a bandage above his eyebrow, a little spot of dried blood near his hairline. The moment Ben saw me, he looked up. And I could tell. He saw everything. My messy hair. My smudged makeup. The smell of someone else's cologne on my clothes. The wrong shoes for where I claimed I'd been. But he didn't yell. He didn't ask where I'd really been. He just gave me that quiet, unreadable smile and said, "You made it. He's okay now." Then he handed Max to me. I held my son with shaking arms, whispering that it would be okay, trying not to fall apart in front of everyone. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there waiting for him to ask. To shout. To accuse. To break something. To demand the truth. But he didn't. He made tea. He rubbed my back gently. He hesitated, then said, "You've been distant lately. Are you okay?" I wanted to scream, "No, I'm not okay." I wanted to confess everything. I wanted to fall on the floor and sob. Instead, I said, "Work's been a lot. I'm just tired." He nodded. And that was the end of it. On the outside, at least. From that moment, I stopped feeling powerful. I started feeling watched. Paranoia began to creep into everything. I checked my phone like it was evidence. I deleted messages as soon as I read them. I turned off location services. I added fake events to my calendar to match the lies I told. Jake noticed the change. Why are you so jumpy? He asked. He's been more attentive, I told him. Jake laughed. Maybe he knows, he said. Maybe he likes the idea of it. I didn't laugh. Then came the photo. Jake and I had met at a small cafe outside town. It seemed safe. Midday. Quiet. Not many people around. We chose a table outside, thinking no one would notice us. The next day, Ben sent me a picture. It was me, sitting across from Jake, laughing, leaning toward him, my hand reaching across the table. Just the image. No caption. No question. No angry emojis. Just the photo. My heart stopped. I stared at it for a long time, fingers frozen above the keyboard. Finally, I typed. That's not what it looks like. He replied. Didn't say it was. And that was all. No more messages. No accusations. No long speech. No outburst. Just silence. That scared me more than any screaming could have. Because now I knew. He knew. And he wasn't just hurt. He was waiting. After that, things with Jake changed. We still met, but it felt colder. More mechanical. No more jokes. No more teasing about the future. Just bodies and shadows and silence. He was never supposed to be permanent. He was never supposed to be a real part of my life. But now I didn't know how to end it. I didn't want him. But I didn't want to stop either. I was trapped in something I had built myself. What once felt like freedom now felt like a cage. Ben stopped texting me cute little things. No more how's your day. No more random I love you messages. No more notes in my lunch bag or on the bathroom mirror. He stopped reaching for me in bed. Stopped holding my hand at the store. But he still smiled. Still made breakfast. Still said love you every morning. And that calm, that terrifying calm, made me realize something. He wasn't pretending everything was normal. He was planning something. One morning, I woke up and the house was silent. Too silent. No sounds of cartoons. No kids arguing over cereal. No coffee machine. No Ben humming under his breath. I went to the kitchen. No one. The driveway. No car. I checked my phone. No texts. No missed calls. I tried calling Ben. Straight to voicemail. On the kitchen table, there was a note. 3 words. I know everything. I stared at it. I know everything. No anger. No curse words. No list of my mistakes. Just final. I stood there for a long time, trying to convince myself it was a threat, or a warning, or maybe even a chance to come clean. Something I could still fix. But the rest of the house told the truth. His closet was empty. The kids' clothes were gone. Their favorite toys were missing from the shelves. The passports that we kept in the drawer, gone. The safe under the bed, where we kept cash. Open. Empty. I ran through the house, room to room, like a storm, calling his name, dialing his number. Voicemail. Voicemail again. And again. I opened the drawer where we kept photo albums and printed pictures. Gone. All of them. No family photos on the wall. No framed memories. No smiling faces. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just sank down onto the cold kitchen floor, the note still on the table. I know everything. And then I finally understood. He didn't just find out once. He watched. He watched me lie. Watched me come home late again and again. Watched me pretend to be tired, stressed, busy. He heard my fake work problems. He heard my made-up girls' nights. He heard my excuses and kept them in his head. And while I thought I was fooling him, he was already leaving. He let me keep going. Let me keep cheating. Let me keep weaving my web. That's what hurts the most. He let me sleep next to him while he packed his bags in his mind. Let me kiss our kids goodnight while he planned a different life for them. Let me say I love you with a mouth that tasted like another man. He let me cheat. Not because he didn't care, but because he was already gone. He didn't scream. He didn't break anything. He didn't call my family to expose me. He didn't post online. He didn't try to ruin me publicly. He didn't drag my name through the mud. He just disappeared. Quietly. Carefully. Completely. I tried to find him. I called his parents. No answer. I called his sister. Blocked. I tried contacting his job. They wouldn't even tell me if he still worked there. And the kids. By the time I figured out what was happening, he'd already filed papers. Temporary custody. Claims of emotional instability. Records of my behavior. He brought screenshots. Message logs. Location records. Dates. Times. Photos. All those nights I believed I was being careful, he was collecting evidence. His case was airtight. The judge barely looked at me. Just signed the documents and said I could apply for supervised visits in 90 days if I showed improvement. Improvement. Like I was a project that had failed inspection. How do you improve from being the person who destroyed her own family? People sometimes ask me, do you regret it? They mean well, I guess. They want a simple answer. A clean lesson. But that's the wrong question. Because regret sounds like one bad choice, one wrong moment, one stupid decision you wish you could rewind. This wasn't that. This was 1,000 small decisions. 1,000 tiny lies. A slow, steady erosion of who I used to be. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost the only person who truly knew me. The real me. The tired me. The frustrated me. The hopeful me. The broken me. And what hurts even more is this. He saw me. All of me. And he still loved me. Until he couldn't anymore. I thought I was winning. I thought I had all the power. I thought I was in control, running 2 lives at once. But the truth is very simple. I betrayed him. And he outplayed me. Now I sit alone in a quiet apartment. No kids running around, no laughter in the rooms, no warm voice in the kitchen. Just me and the echo of what I did. I talk to a camera. I tell the story. I try to explain something that maybe can't be explained. Because in the end, the man I hurt the most didn't take revenge. He did something much worse. He walked away.